Hello and welcome or welcome back to another video. I'm so glad you're here. On this channel, I talk about news, controversies, and drama on the bookish side of the internet, and I certainly hope you'll stick around. So you've already read the title. We are here for another little check-in of our old friend Britt Andrews. If you are newer to my channel, you might not have heard of her, so I will direct you to my playlist. However, I must warn you that it will take you about 8 hours to get through it all. Short version is she scammed her readers for $95,000 on Kickstarter in 2023. The ebook finally came out in October, but none of the other rewards have been delivered. If you haven't seen and heard the entire story, you will probably think I'm an absolute asshole with the way I will be speaking about her, but believe me, it's warranted. So in my last video about her, Demons in My Head had just released two less than stellar reviews, and something I completely forgot to add into my last video was the author's note at the end of the book. I didn't write this book from a place of balance or peace. I wrote it in the middle of a shitstorm, during nights when I wasn't sure I could keep going, and on days where everything that used to make sense didn't anymore. Life fell apart, plain and simple. Not in the poetic way you read about, but in the gut punch way that forces you to start over, whether you're ready or not. And when that happens, the truth is you don't get to plan your comeback. You just deal with what's coming down the pipeline, one impossible thing after another. During that time, I learned who my people are. The ones who didn't make me feel guilty for being human. The ones who didn't need me to perform, produce, or pretend. The ones who quietly sent a message, shared a kind word, or just held space for me to exist and come back to when I was able. You have no idea what that meant. Because when you're hanging on by a thread, one person saying, "I get it," can be the reason you don't let go. So this is for them, the quiet supporters, the believers, the friends who remembered that behind the books and the screens, there's a person who bleeds and breaks like everyone else. Demons in My Head was never just a title, it was a representation of my life. And somehow, against all odds, I made it through. If you're in your own version of the fire, please keep going. I'm cheering you on from the shadows. You don't owe the world your perfection, just your persistence. Love, Britt. So there are a few things that I want to unpack here. Chief among those is that, in my opinion, this is essentially just a long version of a dedication or something for the acknowledgement section. Every author's note I've ever read is a place for the author to give more insight on why they wrote the story, inspiration they used as reference, or like if it's based on a real event or person, giving background on that. This just feels like she's yet again manipulating the truth to dodge accountability, and it's so tired. Yes, it's her book, and she can do what she wants, but I don't have to like it. Second thing, no one is making her feel guilty for being human. Whatever guilt she feels is because she knows what she's doing is wrong, and frankly, she deserves to feel that guilt. She acts as though it's irrational for people to want the product they paid for, and I'm sorry, but saying it's not theft because they will eventually get their rewards is an absolutely asinine take. It's been 2.5 years. And of course, timelines change, but when people backed the project, they were given a January 2024 delivery date, and when communication was clear and updates were being given, no one was really mad. It wasn't until she went MIA and suspiciously bought a restaurant that people started to put together that they were being played. Last thing before moving on, I want to go back to this line, the friends who remember that behind the books and screens, there's a person who bleeds and breaks like everyone else. Ma'am, all you have done for the past 2 years is talk about how much you bleed and break, and your life is harder than everyone else's, and complain about people wanting to get what they paid for, or simply get a refund. So yeah, no, girl, we all know that you bleed and break because you are not vague about it. In a similar vein, I forgot to include the dedication, which I want to briefly mention. For everyone who believed in this book before it existed, who backed it, boosted it, and breathed life into it when I was running on fumes. And for everyone who motivated, inspired, and reminded me what I'm capable of, this book exists because of you. That first couple lines there are just a little too on the nose. Like literally backed it and believed in it before it existed. So yeah, gross. But also, I guess this means it's dedicated to all the pissed off ex-fans who now hate her because, they did believe in the book before it existed, and she completely betrayed their trust. On October 26th, she showed up in her group requesting anyone who has like a book-centered platform to promote her little Emerald Treats novella. She wrote, "Please share. If anyone has a book talk, book group, or bookstagram and would like to share any of these graphics about Emerald Treats being live, I'd love ya forever. For Demons in My Head, I did zero promo. I just utilized this amazing community that we created together, and after 2.5 years of zero new releases, yeah girl, we know, we still managed to get bestseller tags. What a testament to how powerful we misfits are. Let's go." So to recap, she readily admits that she did no promo for Demons in My Head and solely relied on her minions to do it for her, and she plans to do the same here. It's just weird. Like, I get asking her fans to share the graphics, but the way that she's so open about the fact that she didn't bother doing any promotion rubs me the wrong way. And for the record, she no longer has any bestseller tags. She's not even in the top 300 for witch romances, which is a very specific genre. Okay, so the book came out, and what do we think she's doing now? If you said taking another vacation despite refusing to give any refunds, you'd be right. She took a nice little vacation to Vegas. This picture is from November 5th that she posted in her group. My girl brought her copy to get it signed. It's so cute. And there she is. And then we have another post by her friend Marie, who is the moderator, and I haven't blacked out her name in the past either because she's very outspoken, loud supporter of Britt, and yeah. You guys, our girl is coming back to life, and it's beautiful. And so, yeah, we can see some pictures of her hanging out in Vegas. Love seeing you so happy, Britt. You deserve it. Love the dress. Someone commented and said, wait. Are you Vegas locals too, or just visiting? Marie says, it was just a night for a thing. And Britt says, I got invited to attend a writing conference. You'd think that in order to be invited to a writing conference, you'd have to actually write. But what do I know? Also, I'm not saying you can't have a good time while at a work event, but I've personally never seen an author say that they're at a writing conference or retreat or anything and not post pictures from it. It just feels a little suspicious to me. Maybe no one wanted to hang out with her. I did look up writer events Las Vegas, November 2025, and I found the Author Nation event, which took place the same time these photos were posted. Again, I have no idea. I have no idea with any certainty if she was actually at this event or whatever was going on, but I'm just giving you what I have. She said that she was invited to this conference, and that very well may be true, but just for funsies, I checked the prices, and so do with that what you will. And, just so you can see, the website hasn't been updated, so these are the prices from 2025. For the general Visa ticket, it's $599.99, and then you can do the installment plan for 6 payments of $101. So pretty pricey, but again, I don't know if she went to this. I don't know if she paid for it, if she did go to it. Just sharing some info. So, let's get back to the Kickstarter. So, can you believe that this was only 5 days after the book released? That is more than we saw from her for months earlier last year. So she says on October 22nd, we're into production, full steam ahead. Hi friends, now that the book is written, edited, and officially live, we're moving into the production phase of this Kickstarter. I hope that those of you who read Demons in My Head enjoyed it. For those who've done a Kickstarter before, you know this part where everything starts coming together. Printers, artists, and vendors all working on their little piece of this huge puzzle. Here's what I've been working on lately. Printing. After the campaign funded, I got initial quotes for printing, but now that I have the final page count, which affects costs and layout, and considering the shifts in the economy since funding, I've been securing updated quotes from 3 different printers to make sure we're getting the best quality and price for the project. Once that's finalized, we'll move into proofing, once the interior art is complete, and production. Artwork. I'm currently coordinating with multiple artists for 8 character illustrations for chapter spreads, 2 group scenes for the art prints, 2 vellum overlay art scenes. I'll share previews when I can, but not all of them, of course. I want some things to be a surprise. Maybe I'll let you guys vote on 2 of the characters you want to see. I think that sounds fun. Swag and add-ons. Tumblr's bookmarks and keychains have been delivered and designs are finalized. Production on design will start within the next few weeks. Stickers are in the design and approval phase now. Book sleeves and enamel pins. I'm in contact with distributors and those are moving toward completion too. What's next and fulfillment? While I'm moving things along as quickly as possible, we're now on the timelines of other companies, printers, artists, and manufacturers. To keep fulfillment smooth and organized, no rewards will ship until all books and all merch items are in my hands. Once everything arrives, we'll start the big job of packing and shipping over 700 orders. I already have several volunteers to help with this huge task. Always volunteers. Because there are so many moving parts, I can't give an exact shipping date yet, but I promise to keep you posted as I get updated information. I also want to say a heartfelt thank you to everyone who has reached out with encouragement and offers to help. It honestly means the world to me. I've brought on a few amazing volunteers who are helping coordinate everything behind the scenes, and their support has been incredible. I know this has been a long road, and I appreciate every bit of patience and understanding along the way. We're finally on track for fulfillment, and I'm doing everything I can to deliver something awesome. Thank you for believing in me, in this story, and in this journey. All the love, Britt. So a couple things I want to comment on in this update. She mentions the shift in the economy since the campaign funded, and using that as a reason, and let's be honest, an excuse, for why she has to take so much time shopping around for the best price. But if she had actually fulfilled, or at least started the fulfillment process when she was supposed to in 2023, I think we all know that the economy in the US was in a very different place. So that's wholly on her, and if her extensive delays result in a shitty product, that's not cool. I know a hefty number of backers who don't even want their rewards anymore, but that's not really the point. As far as the artwork, she already shared it a long time ago, unless she's gotten rid of that in favor of new art, but she's talking like this is all brand new. For reference, this is the previous art, which a lot of you in my comments speculated was AI generated. I am not saying that it is, but it wouldn't surprise me if she quickly had ChatGPT make these just to temporarily placate people. So in update 24 on June 25th, she told us she already had the Tumblr's keychains and bookmarks, but again, she's acting like this is something new. I'm just gonna read you that little part. While the manuscript goes into final editing and then formatting, I've got more good news. Tumblr's keychains and bookmarks have been delivered and will soon be in production. They're with the amazing Mandy, who's handling fulfillment like a badass. What has she been doing all this time? She got nothing to do. And every item will be created to match the heart and grit of this book. It's real, it's happening. As soon as I have some finished designs, I'll post them here for you all to see. And given that they need to be assembled, we figured that out last time, I predict they'll end up looking something like this. If you don't remember, this is a picture from her first Kickstarter that didn't get funded, and I don't think it's really hard to see why. Additionally, why not show the tumblers and keychains and bookmarks that you say have been delivered, even if they're not done? That would at least do something to prove that you aren't completely full of shit. I could pick apart every word of this update, but we've got a lot to talk about, so let's move on. The next update came on November 12th. November Project Summary. This update outlines the current status of the project, candle information, and the date of the December Project Summary update. All artwork is in progress with the contracted artists and moving forward on schedule. The printer is finalizing the book box design while artwork is being completed. Once artwork is delivered, file layout and proofing will begin immediately. All groundwork for PDF formatting is already in place, so this phase is expected to move efficiently. After layout and proofing, final PDFs will be sent to the printer. When the printer confirms files and completes scheduling, a follow-up update will include the full production timeline and shipping estimates. A custom emboss/seal tool is currently in transit. This will be used for all Kickstarter special edition copies. A demonstration sample will be shared after it arrives. Candle add-on update. Vendor options are still being evaluated. A final decision has not yet been made. The approach will be as follows. If a new vendor is selected, each backer who purchased a candle add-on will be contacted to choose whether they would like to keep the candle or receive a refund. If a new vendor is not selected, all candle add-on purchases will be refunded automatically. The same policy applies to any add-on in the campaign. If an item cannot be fulfilled, the cost of that item will be refunded. As we get closer to actual fulfillment, the support team will be helping to streamline fulfillment and ensure everything is as efficient as possible to get this project completed. The volunteer support team, let's not forget. During this phase of production, while artwork layout and printer scheduling are underway, major changes do not occur frequently. Because of this, bi-weekly updates are not necessary at this time. The December project summary will be posted 4 weeks from today on December 10th unless a significant milestone is reached sooner. If there is earlier news to share, an update will be provided at that time. Okay, so disclaimer, this is my opinion, not based in facts. Got that? Okay. I absolutely cannot be convinced that ChatGPT didn't write this. It is so stiff and bland and just not what we've seen from her. I'm not going to comment on the timeline here because I'm not really sure how long this all typically takes, but I do know we are at over 2 years now, so... Now, the new update schedule is whatever, but the tone is just such a shift that it seems like she's just accepted that the bulk of her Kickstarter backers are sick of her bullshit, and that goes whether or not this is AI. Here is the December project update. This update outlines the current status of character artwork, production sequencing, and the expected timeline as we move into the final stage before printer submission. Character artwork is progressing on schedule. The contracted artist has confirmed all remaining pieces will be completed by the end of the month. Below are 2 preview images of the artwork currently in progress, Felix and Jasper. The same artist who did the artwork of Palmer suspended in the maze is doing the character page spreads. I hope you enjoy these as much as I do. And these are the pictures that she included there. This one looks like Shrek as a human. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? I'll put a picture. Once the final artwork is delivered, interior layout and proofing will begin immediately. All groundwork for PDF formatting is complete, so this stage is expected to move efficiently. After layout and proofing are finalized, the completed PDFs will be sent directly to the printer, and we should have mock-up images of the final book design. Upon file submission, the printer will review all materials, confirm specifications, and issue a production schedule. Once the printer provides a confirmed production window, a follow-up update will be posted with full details, including anticipated shipping timelines. During this phase of production, while artwork, layout, and scheduling are underway, major changes shouldn't be expected. Updates will continue to be issued as meaningful progress occurs. The January project summary will be posted 1 month from today on January 10th, 2026, unless a substantial product development occurs prior to that date, in which case an update will be issued. Wishing everyone a safe and happy holiday season. So again, this writing is just so out of character based on what we've seen before. We saw previous videos that she was reporting comments and getting them deleted, but there are some good ones still up that I want to share. So, Eloise, Queen Eloise. I'm so confused why we are getting a new mock-up. What happened to the old mock-up? The art literally posted all over this Kickstarter. She always confuses me. I can't keep up with what's the truth and what's hypothetically incorrect, and I get the impression she makes a lot of this up as she goes on, just so she's just buying time. Correct. Hey Britt, any updates on timelines for all the non-book items purchased? Or did you decide on a domestic or overseas printer? Because based on previous experiences with book Kickstarters and book boxes, Chinese New Year can cause huge delays because printers basically shut down during that time, about 2 weeks. If you don't already have stuff ready for the printer beforehand, that's when delays can really pile up. So yeah, I too am very confused on why this new art is being shared with no mention of not only the art that was shown in the updates, but the actual mock-ups that people were shown when they backed the project to begin with. Another comment says, the whole problem is you lack transparency. You refuse to answer questions and try to block and control the narrative. All you had to do was communicate, Britt. That's the most frustrating part. You have spit in the faces of all the ones who supported you. Who's the artist? What's the update on the add-ons? You're so focused on artwork. Why can't you just for once address concerns and answer questions? You're treating us as though we're being unreasonable and problematic for no reason. You ghosted us, banned us, and clearly used ChatGPT to write this monotoned update. I was under the impression the pictures you showed were the books we were ordering. So what the fuck do you mean we'll eventually get to see mock-up images of the books? I truly hope you take this as a learning experience and never conduct any business venture ever again. This is embarrassing for yourself. I'd like a full refund. No disrespect to the artist, but this ain't it. The focus on the artwork feels very reminiscent of Milo Winter. Anyone else get that? And we also heard the support team earlier, so new territory. This is ridiculous. Your tone has completely changed. What happened to magic, peens, and peace and love? You're treating us like a business transaction, and yes, that's all it is in a sense. However, I backed this project in good faith because I loved you and your work, especially after I got kicked out of your Facebook group and banned for no reason. No comments, posts, etc. were made by me at all. This makes me, and I'm sure many backers, feel like yesterday's trash. I'm disappointed, but you know that. It's all been said. This provided no update on who the artist is, who the printer is, and no update on any of the add-ons, which is a huge piece of getting this puzzle completed. I know many commenters have been banned and silenced as well, and I may too, since we aren't allowed to offer our valid concerns anymore. I hope this comment is read, and hopefully even responded to, but I've lost all hope at this point, and Emerald Lakes has been thoroughly soured by this entire situation. As mentioned, I completely agree on the tone of these posts. She was so warm in her earlier posts. And even when she was just like bullshitting and being awful, she at least said things in like a soft way. This 100% feels like a business transaction, and yes, it absolutely is. But if you can recall, she was constantly asking for grace and acting as though her readers were her besties who needed to take her at her word, and now that it's actually time to fulfill things, it's all business. Like, she wanted the grace, she wanted you to be like, I'm just your friend, oh my gosh, you have to give me grace, you have to, you know, just, things are going wrong in my life, you have to, like, understand that. And now she's like, this is business, printers and artists. So, I don't know. But in a business transaction, there is an expectation of receiving the product you paid for. And every time I make a Brit video, I get people in the comments saying that Kickstarter rewards aren't guaranteed. I understand that, but I don't think it's unreasonable to expect the rewards you signed up for when the Kickstarter ends with over $90,000 more than the goal. January update. Artwork is complete. Hi everyone, I'm happy to share that I received the final piece today for the character artwork. The artist got the flu over Christmas, which caused a slight delay in completing everything by the end of the year. Good news is, with artwork now complete, all remaining interiors are entering final layout and proofing, and completed print files will be submitted to the printer this week. I'm so excited. Once the printer has reviewed the files and issued a confirmed production schedule, I will immediately follow up here with the official production and estimated shipping timeline. We are now in the final pre-production stage, and I'm excited to be moving into the manufacturing phase with you all. These books are going to be beautiful, and I should also be receiving some new mock-ups which I can't wait to share. Thank you as always for your continued patience and support. The next update will include concrete production timing as soon as the printer confirms scheduling. Stay healthy and safe in the new year, Britt. I feel like she said nearly the same thing before. Like, she thinks if she keeps saying things are almost ready to show, then somehow that will make them true. I just can't understand why she wouldn't show any progress photos. I think it's important to note that she never seems to mention anything at all about the extras. Except for that, like, one time. I was actually looking at her Kickstarter page to refresh my mind on all the extras people paid for, and I just had to note that she listed beautiful formatting as one of the reward items offered with the highest tier. Like, the bar is truly in hell. Should that not be a given? Tell me, Britt, will it also have been edited? Will it have page numbers? Will it have a cover? Beyond that, where's an update on the audiobook? Where's an update on the mini figurines? She does the barest of minimums here and doesn't seem to understand why people are angry. In her November update, she said she was looking for a new candle vendor. Okay, how's that been going? She posts a single update each month. Shouldn't it at least be informative? Alright, so that's where the Kickstarter stands right now. As of this filming, she was due for her monthly update a couple days ago. Nothing. I'm sure you're shocked. So now we are going to take it back to October. I did cover this in my last video, but it was 4 months ago, so let's review. Right before she released Demons in My Head, she announced a brand new series. While we wait for part 2 of your surprise, which is that Emerald Treats novella, allow me to formally announce The Magic of Rebellion, Emerald Lakes Academy Book 1, This series will be set in the Emerald Lakes world and will feature Fern, Sage's sister, and Hunter, Cam's brother, plus some others who I think you'll be very excited to meet. You can pre-order here. Stay tuned for part 2 of the surprise. Prepare to scream. And look, what she wants to write is completely up to her, but she has a history of announcing books or series and then not actually writing them. There's more to this, so I will save it for later. On December 26th, she made this post. Merry Christmas, Misfits. Here's your Christmas present, a brand new cover made by Christian Bentulin for a brand new series coming out next month. I've been working hard getting this one ready to drop, and you guys are gonna love Fern and her guys. The guys are as follows, yada yada, this is not important. This one has been so fun to write because it's been so long since I've been able to create new characters. Here's a spicy little teaser for you, doesn't really matter. You can pre-order your copy here. Also, newsletters are going to start being sent out again and will be the source for all information and updates. I have some major updates coming over the next month and you're not going to want to miss them. Merry Christmas, everyone. And here's the cover, which actually is really pretty. So what was actually really fun for me in looking at the comments and seeing people questioning her on things she said in the past, that actually did not get deleted. So this one says, what's going on with the anniversary edition of Emerald Lakes? The ones we paid for and haven't received. No one seems to want to answer this question. It would be nice to get an answer. Someone else replied to her, I'd request a refund. Yeah, no, great, brilliant idea. Why didn't she think of that? Hey, I was just curious. A few years back, there was mention of an Emerald Mate series. Is that something we might see in the future? You know, some people excited for some reason. We still getting the DIMB books for Kickstarter and all that? The special editions, etc.? Yada, yada, yada. I didn't say there were a lot of them, but usually any comments like that do not stay up long. Now, I'm not trying to nitpick, but you noticed she says it's coming out next month, which would be January from the time she posts this, which at one point was on the Amazon page. Right here, January 23rd, 2026. Now, however, you will notice that the Amazon pre-order page says February 22nd. And so it begins. Am I a hater? Absolutely yes. So now I'm about to get into some personal stuff, and if you start feeling bad for her, I again want to direct you to the 9 videos I've already made about her. And again, I want to make a disclaimer. This is all information that is publicly available if you know where to look. At no time did I spend a cent of money for any of this information. It was all obtained legally. That said, before finishing up this script, I decided to see if there was anything new going on with her legal issues, and boy, am I glad I did. Because earlier, the exact same day that was, there were new documents posted. It seems that our girl is in even deeper shit than I could have imagined. And so as a quick refresher, she had contracted a company for work on her house and just decided not to pay for it despite multiple requests, including from the company's lawyers. And her own lawyer ended up firing her because Britt would not respond to her at all and also wouldn't pay her lawyer. The construction company then filed a lien for non-payment. I'm going to go over the rest of this new stuff to the best of my understanding, but I do want to note that I am not a lawyer, and while I feel pretty good about the accuracy of what I'm going to say, I might get some things slightly wrong. So, when the construction company filed the lien, this also is filed against the mortgage company. The mortgage company cross-claimed, which means that a defendant, the company, files a lawsuit against a co-defendant, Britt. Because guess who hasn't been paying her mortgage either? Here's part of the precipice for order of sale, which is looking pretty ugly for Miss Britt. Additionally, I learned the word precipice, which just means legal stuff, so I didn't make it up, I swear. So this says, this matter is before the court on defendant Nation Star Mortgage LLC's motion for default judgment on its cross-claim. The real property that is subject of this foreclosure action is as follows, and it lists the address and all of that. In response to the motion for default judgment, the court finds that Brittany A. Anderson, Michelle Anderson, and the United States of America Secretary blah 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 have been served with a summons and a copy of the cross-claim of defendant Nation Star Mortgage LLC, but are in default for failure to file an answer or other responsive pleading. The court finds the failure to deny the allegations contained in the cross-claim result in them being admitted pursuant to Rule 8D of the Ohio Rules of Civil Procedure, and that the court has relied upon the failure to deny the allegations in the cross-claim. As a result, with respect to such defendants, the court hereby grants defendant Nationstar Mortgage, LLC's motion for default judgment on cross-claim and enters judgment in favor of defendant Nationstar Mortgage, LLC for the relief sought by defendant Nationstar Mortgage, LLC in its cross-claim. So basically that's meaning like the mortgage company is owed a lot of money. The court finds that Bo Lacey Construction, LLC has filed a complaint claiming an interest in the property. The court finds that such interest is inferior and junior in priority to the mortgage held by defendant Nationstar Mortgage, LLC. Such interest shall transfer to the proceeds of the sale of the property, and all parties who have filed an answer or complaint claiming an interest in the property shall have the right to seek payment from the proceeds of the sale of the property. Such interest shall be released from the title to the property upon confirmation of the sale to ensure that the buyer obtains title to the property free and clear of all interests. Skip that little section. The court further finds that Brittany A. Anderson executed the promissory note referenced in the cross-claim and therefore promised, among other things, to make monthly payments on or before the date such payments were due. The court further finds that the sums due under the note were accelerated in accordance with the terms of the note and mortgage. The court further finds that Brittany A. Anderson and Michelle Anderson executed and delivered the mortgage referenced in the cross-claim, and that the mortgage secures the amounts due under the note. The court finds that the note and mortgage are in default because payments required to be made under the note and mortgage have not been made. The court further finds that the conditions of the mortgage have been broken, the break is absolute, and defendant Nationstar Mortgage, LLC is entitled to have the equity of redemption and dower of the current title holders foreclosed. Defendant Nationstar Mortgage, LLC was the real party in interest when it filed its cross-claim and has maintained the requisite standing at all times material to this action. The court further finds that there is, due to defendant Nationstar Mortgage, LLC, on the note principal in the amount of $408,279.46, plus interest on the principal amount at the rate of 4.5 per annum from February 1st, 2025. The court further finds that there is due on the note all late charges imposed under the note, all advances made for the payment of real estate taxes and assessments, property preservation and insurance premiums, and all costs and expenses incurred for the enforcement of the note and mortgage, except to the extent of payment of one or more specific such items is prohibited by Ohio law. As a result, the court hereby enters judgment for the amount due on the note in favor of defendant Nationstar Mortgage, LLC, and against Brittany A. Anderson. Skipping the rest of that page, it is therefore ordered, adjudged, and decreed that unless the sums found to be due to defendant Nationstar Mortgage, LLC, I'm so tired of saying that, are fully paid within 3 days from the time of this entry of this decree, the equity of redemption of the defendant title holders in the property shall be foreclosed, and the property shall be sold free of the interests of all parties to this action. In addition, an order of sale shall issue directing the appraisal, advertisement, and sale of the property according to the law and the orders of this court. If the court authorizes a private selling officer to sell the property and the defendant Nationstar Mortgage, LLC elects to use a private selling officer, then the sale must proceed in accordance with yada blah blah blah. Otherwise, the property is to be sold by the sheriff, and he is to report his proceedings to the court. If this is a residential property and the property remains unsold after the first auction, then a second auction shall be held, and the property shall be sold to the highest bidder without regard to the minimum bid requirement in The second auction shall be held no earlier than 7 days and not later than 30 days after the first auction. If there is a successful purchaser at the second or subsequent auctions, the judgment creditor and the first lien holder have the right to redeem the property within 14 days of the sale by paying the purchase price to the clerk of court. Upon timely payment, the court will proceed as described, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, some like bylaw or whatever, with the redeeming party considered the successful purchaser at sale. Let's see. Okay, so following the sale of the property, the proceeds shall be distributed in the following order of priority. This is important. First, the clerk of courts shall be paid for all costs of this action. Second, the Wayne County Treasurer shall be paid for all unpaid taxes, assessments, interest, and penalties on the property. Third, the sheriff of this county shall be paid the sum of $150 for recording of the deed. Fourth, Defendant Nation Star Mortgage LLC shall be paid principal in the amount of $408,279.46, plus interest on the principal amount at the rate of 4.5% per annum from February 1st, 2025. All advances made for the payment of real estate taxes and assessments and insurance premiums, and all costs and expenses incurred for the enforcement of the note and mortgage, except to the extent that the payment of one or more specific such items is prohibited by Ohio law. Fifth, Bo Lacey Construction LLC shall be paid the sum of $46,800 plus interest and costs, except to the extent that the payment of one or more specific items is prohibited by Ohio law. Sixth, the balance of the proceeds, if any, shall be held pending further order of the court. There is no just reason for delay in entering judgment as aforesaid. It is so ordered. So that was a lot of legal jargon. What we can take away from it is that Britt and her husband needed to pay the $408,000 to the mortgage company by February 8th, or else the house would be foreclosed on. The next document is from February 10th, and I'm a little bit confused on part of it, but I'll read you the highlights and we can go from there. To the Wayne County Sheriff, on February 5th, 2026, Bo Lacey Construction LLC obtained a judgment against Brittany Anderson for the amount $408,279.46 and costs of this suit in case number whatever. Whereas it was then and there by said court ordered that the said Brittany Anderson within 3 days from the date of entry pay unto the said Bo Lacey Construction LLC the said sum of $408,279.46 with interest at the, okay, so like the same stuff we were saying before. And whereas the 3 days aforesaid have fully expired, and the said judgments and costs aforesaid have not been paid, or any part thereof, as appears to us of record, we therefore command you that you proceed without delay to appraise, advertise, and sell, according to the statutes regulating judgments and executions at law, the following described lands and tenements situated in Wayne County, Ohio, to wit, see attached property description. To make the sum of $408,279.46 judgment with said interest thereon and costs aforesaid, and that you also pay the cost of this writ and all increase and accruing costs, and the residue, if any there be, you bring into this court to abide further order of this court, that you may make return of your proceedings to our said court within 60 days from this date, and have you then and there this writ. So the thing that I'm confused on is the construction company being owed $408,000, but what we can take away from this is that she did not pay within those 3 days, and her house is now being sold at auction. Whatever distribution these folks end up with, we know that she owes nearly $500,000. There are a lot more details regarding what happens next that I don't want to go into lest I give out false information, but of course, when more documents become available, I'll update next time I make a video about her, because there seems to be no end in sight. Before I wrap up, there's one thing that I do want to mention. While I was doing my obligatory TikTok search, I came across another author named Britt Andrews. She only has one T in her first name, so that's good, I guess, but I want to be clear, you know, this is not the same person at all, and I think it would be awesome if you guys could go and like maybe support her. She's a romance author, and you know, she knows about the other Britt Andrews and is like, yeah, no, I mean, this, I'm not going to change my name. So that's obviously, she shouldn't have to do anything she doesn't want to do, but I was just wanted to mention that in case anyone wanted to go support her. You know, it really sucks that I hope she's not, you know, getting any flack about this stuff, because she has nothing to do with it. That said, the indie author I'm featuring today is Hann, an author and artist from Canada. Her background is in animation, and she's currently studying to become an editor. She volunteers with an animal rescue and actually recently started taking kung fu classes. Her debut novel, Heart-Shaped Karaoke Box, came out in 2025. It's a story about a young Canadian who moves to Japan after university to find her way in life. Here is the blurb. Ava Calabrese lives with her parents and wants out of her dead-end job, so when her former college classmate, Tobio, connects with her, she makes the leap across the planet to teach English in Japan. In Osaka, Ava is confronted by the Japanese language and culture while navigating her feelings for Tobio, but everything changes one night at karaoke when she's kissed by the intimidatingly handsome tattoo artist, Yuva. But when Ava learns of a devastating secret involving both Tobio and Yuva, she flees from Osaka to the sprawl of Tokyo, where a chance encounter with Japan's rising female pop star, Mariko, changes Ava's life forever. Will she learn from her floundering and thrive in a foreign country, or have to go back home to Canada? Down in the description, I will link ER's social media, as well as where you can purchase her book if that sounds like something you'd be interested in. Indie authors are a vital part of the bookish community, so try to support them wherever you can, even if it's just a follow on social media. It all helps them. If you'd like the chance to be featured indie author, there's a form down in the description, and again, want to mention one more time that this is a new form, so if you have submitted in the past, please do it again. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would. Check out my Bindery page if you'd like to support me over there, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!